Welcome in, everybody, to another fun, exciting episode of Dbacks Dispatch. Our first one, I would say, maybe not official off-season, but, there's no more Dbacks baseball, so I'm going to count it as off-season baseball talk with your trio here, the full trio back in action. I finally got a night off work to where I can actually join the fellas and everybody else in the chat here as we discuss some more D-backs news before we kind of dive on into everything here. Obviously, welcome in, everybody. If this is your first time here at D-backs Dispatch, we do appreciate you guys. If you guys could like, comment, subscribe, really helps out the algorithm. Whether you're listening to us on YouTube doing all that, or if you're on Apple, Spotify, wherever else you listen to your podcasts, rate us, whatever it is. Share with your friends and family. If you have anybody else that might be a D-backs fan, send it to them. Be like, hey, you know what? These guys, especially our man Gabe, they know ball. Shoot them on over, get them on here, have them join the community, because we also do have a Discord that is free. Whether you have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok or not, you do have a link down in our YouTube below, so they can also join the Discord if they have a Discord. Especially with the off season going around, we're going to do a lot more shows where we're getting your guys' input, questions you guys might have, all that stuff. So again, make sure you guys join on in the Discord, and then make sure you guys also go over to azsnakepit.com. Pretty much every day, even in the off season, even when there's no D-backs baseball going on, there's daily articles over there, in-depth articles, breakdowns, whatnot. Especially our man Josh is going to be doing some written content in form of D-backs Dispatch. So if you guys want a little more dispatch in your life, that is a place to be. azsnakepit.com. So I know it's the playoffs here. We'll get into some of our thoughts on the wild card series that did officially wrap up today, as all the series are over. We had 3 of them go to 3 games, which is pretty exciting. But we have a little bit of D-backs news in itself that we wanted to dive in here because, again, D-backs related show, or D-backs centered show. Want to give all our thoughts in there. And I think the big one here, obviously, happened a couple days ago. Probably to the surprise of some people, but I don't think a surprise to many people, is the D-backs did confirm that they are bringing back manager Torey Lovullo for the 2026 season for season number 10 of Torey. So they decided they didn't want to flush it. They did not want to move on with Torey. They wanted to let the turd float in the punch bowl for a 10th season once again. Sorry, that was a little bit mean. I'm still a little bit bitter with the way some of these games are going this year. But he is going to be returning for year 10, which I think a lot of fans probably had some quote unquote hope that he would be let go after there was no media availability, end of season press conference scheduled, and even Ken Kendrick, the owner, had some comments about this being one of the most disappointing seasons, just in regards to the payroll, expectations that they had going into the 2025 campaign, which I think a lot of us can share those same frustrations. Like I said, injuries and all that aside, definitely saw a lot of underperforming on the field, and I would say in the front office when it comes to how the team was kind of built, and even Mike Hazen kind of owned up to that, which we'll get to that in a little bit. But in regards to Torey Lovullo being the returning manager in 2026 for year number 10, what are your thoughts on the entire situation? Maybe a little bit of thoughts on the press conference where him and Mike Hazen, definitely owned up to maybe some of their shortcomings, and just what this means for this team going into next season.
I mean, so far from what we've seen, all these teams that are firing their managers, it seems like Arizona sports, once again, doesn't care about accountability. They are absolutely fine with mediocrity. And, like some of the comments are saying, this is year 9 and there's 2 playoff appearances. And there's been teams that this team has had to compete, like 18, 19, and specifically 18. They held the lead in the division until about mid-September when they had the patented Torey team collapse. Then even in 2020, half the league made the playoffs, by the way. 16 teams made the playoffs, and the Diamondbacks couldn't. In 2021, obviously, that was a quote-unquote retooling year by the team. And then 22, they're coming back. 23, they had an actual good team. And then 24, absolute failures. One of the best teams that this organization has ever had, and it was a failure. And I was told last year, we just got to regroup, and it was injuries, it was this, it was that. Like I tweeted out, it was like 2 playoff appearances in 9 years and a million excuses, and that just seems to be the case. And so a part of me just feels like, kind of like, who cares? Like at this point, like, sure, run it back. Like, doesn't matter how often they mess up and how many playoffs they miss. It doesn't even matter at this point. It's just they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Like there's that fake, I mean, I think it's fake just because it's kind of stupid, but that Einstein quote about the definition of insanity being repeating the same thing over and over again. That's what it is in this case. They're just running it back with everyone else, and this has been an organizational failure from the top down. Ken Kendrick not spending, then spending not a lot in a certain amount of money towards this team, and then this team giving up halfway through the season. And because this team is an incredibly slow starter year after year after year, no sense of urgency, whether it's the way Torey manages the bullpen, whether it's the players themselves just not performing up to their standards at the beginning of the season. And we just know come August, this team turn things around, and they've have been able to turn things around year after year after year. And so to have this team give up the way they did is just, is really disappointing, especially from the front office, from Kendrick. Like, it's just one of those things where once I saw that news, I just like, God damn it. Okay, fine, fine, I guess. Like, we'll just run it back, and then, when there's 2 or 3 major injuries, they're gonna bring back Lovullo and be like, "Oh, well, we can't blame Lovullo. He got this team to just barely miss the playoffs."
Yeah, there's definitely. I mean, I know we talked about it kind of a lot throughout the last few months and whatnot. I wasn't here for that Dodger series to be able to give my thoughts on that. But that whole bunt situation with Perdomo the night after having a walk off, he was hitting like 350, 400 in the last week or so, last like 10 games, something like that. One of the hottest bats in the lineup. I think one of the only D-back to have 100 RBI in the season. Obviously, first D-back in or shortstop in history as a Diamondback to do that and reach that mark. Um, Definitely question him doing that. Obviously, we've said it multiple times. There are some games that's not on the manager. The manager might not put in the most ideal person wise that we as the fans think is ready and available. Maybe some other factors that go into it, but the players are the ones that are leaving meatballs over the middle. They're the ones making the errors. They're the ones that are you know missing fastballs down the middle. They're the ones missing bunt signs and not getting banished to the shadow realm like Jordan Lawler did. So I think that's it's definitely a mixture. But I mean, I've definitely been very frustrated over kind of seeing the same things, same managerial decisions with bullpen and whatnot. But I guess even there were some comments of Torey Lovullo saying that his hands are a little bit tied with some of the decisions. Like he's not always able to, he's not the one that's the only one putting together the lineup. He's not the only one that's making these bullpen decisions, which I get it to where we want to be analytical at some degree, but at a certain point, it's like maybe we should let the manager do the manager. Like I feel like the old scouts and the manager in Moneyball, where it's like, hey, I'm the manager of this team. Like we can't. We're not the A's. We're not Moneyball. Like maybe gets a little bit annoying knowing that he's kind of handcuffed a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, well, how much of this is handcuffing? How much of that is him just passing off the blame and being like, oh, I'm not the only one making these decisions, man. It's not just me. It's a team making these choices. But seeing
Yeah,
another
I
year of these
mean,
choices.
we the comments that he gave also during the press conference was one that like, well, I don't set the lineups; it's an open discussion. But what they did just specify was once the team is on the field, that's all his team. So any decisions on the field, I mean, sure, they maybe give him options and stuff like that, scouting reports, but at the end of the day, any decision when it comes to the bullpen or guys coming in and out of the game, it is Torey, and he's the guy who put in Paul Sewell to blow 5 games in a row last year too.
Yeah, definitely some decisions that we've seen. Like I've said, you might see from like a rookie manager or a manager that's in like year 2 or 3, but not a guy that's about to go into his 10th decade. So I could see why they brought him back,
10th
but I could.
decade?
Sorry, 10th decade, going into a decade of being the manager. Could you imagine? Bruce Bochy's going into his 10th decade, pretty much as being a manager. My goodness, give that man
Actually,
a
that might actually be true based on his age. Like,
yeah,
like
give that man a break, man. Like he can barely walk to the mound, but yeah, going into a man that's entering a decade of being at the helm, you'd expect maybe some different decisions here and there. But again, I can see the frustration on both ends, or I can see the frustration and I can see the reasoning why they brought him back. But we're just keyboard pounders over here, as Tori might say. But Brandon, passing on to you, obviously, with the news that he is coming back for year number 10. What are your thoughts on the whole situation? Maybe kind of echoing what Gabe's thoughts and even our man Scott in the YouTube comments here, that we know Scott's not the biggest fan of Torey
no.
Lovullo as he has dubbed him. But what are your thoughts on the whole situation of us bringing back Lovullo for year 10? Because I know you yourself in one of the last shows where we were all three on here, you were saying that you personally are done with Torey. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this news.
I am done with Tori because, like that article stated, once the game starts, all the decisions are his. So the bullpen decisions, those are the ones that frustrate me. Is just like the fact that it took them way too long to keep Woodford on that roster. That one I put more on Hazen. A lot of the frustrations to me is more on Hazen more than Torey, because Torey can only do so much with what he's been like with the toys that he's given, basically. Like Hazen has never, ever been able to provide a stable bullpen. That's his biggest thing. And that's what I'm going to hold him to a very high standard this offseason. Like, you need to, not only you need to build a solid major league bullpen, but you need to have guys in the minors ready to go as well. Because we know we're going to get hit with injuries, because we always do. So, did I think he was going to be let go? After seeing the one tweet from Gambo saying that Hazen was Kendrick was very angry and disappointed, I'm like, maybe because I was like, if Torey's fired, it's because Kendrick's doing it. It's not going to be because of Mike Hazen. So I thought maybe Kendrick was doing it there on Sunday, but then, yeah, they came out on Monday and basically said, nope, he's staying. So I think he needs to be on a very short leash. They need to get off to a fast start. None of this slow build-up with our starting pitchers, which is what they do every spring training, and our starting pitchers don't pitch well for the first month, and it's like Gabe said, like, we're already behind once the season starts. Like, this is a very slow team. You can't do that in the National League West right now. You can't. If the division title is truly on your mind of winning, you have to come out of the gates hot. They never do. So, and I think 23 kind of extended how long Torey was going to be here. Like, if they would have lost to the Brewers or lost to the Dodgers, I don't know if he'd still be here. But they saw what this team does when they get hot. And that's what they did the last 60 games of this from basically August 1st, if you don't count that final San Diego series. Up to that point, I thought for the most part the team was playing pretty well. They had, I think, like the second best record in the National League up to that final series. Like, they all gave us hope. They gave us meaningful games to watch in September.
Which is all we asked for.
So we'll see if there's any sort of changes that Torey makes, or is he just going to be the same Torey we've seen for the last decade?
Yeah, definitely. I think next year will be the make or break. I think we can kind of look at the comments that Ken Kendrick made, and the fact that I believe Torey's on an expiring contract, or at least I think he's obviously 1 year left on his contract as a manager. I don't know how long Hazen has as a general manager, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is also, Kendrick basically being like, in part of that frustration, whatever group meeting they had together was like, all right, boys, you guys are a package deal. You guys have been a package deal the entire time here. You have another year to figure this out. Like, maybe he gives Mike a little bit more of a leeway, a little bit more, breathing room because of, drafting and some of the trades that we've gotten, some of the key pieces on this team, obviously, drafting Corbin Carroll, getting guys like Perdomo, doing out extensions for, find the way he's found some of these key pieces. Obviously, looking back on the AJ Puck trade, and Puck was injured, but that was one of the few really nice trades that we've seen from Hazen make at the deadline. So maybe he gives him an extra year or two, but I could definitely see that kind of end of the year meeting of Kendrick voicing his frustrations, being like, all right, guys, like, no more of this bullshit next year. Like Brandon said, come out to get hot. No more doing this, even like Gabe, Brandon, and you guys were pointing out in the article. You are the one, once the game starts, you're the one making the decisions literally in the dugout. You're the one that's calling for a bunt or no bunt. You're the one that's doing these pinch hit situations, whether to leave Jose Herrera in against the Houston Astros in a critical runners. Yeah, in a critical.
Forgot about that one. Right there. I was like, oh,
forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so there's.
Bad.
Like I said before, there's a lot of games you can count on one hand that definitely come down to the players making mistakes and costing themselves the own win. And then I feel like definitely, if not more, at least an equal amount that you can count on the managerial decision, in-game management being the reason why certain things happen, and the certain outcomes that we see in games that could be the reason why. I mean, again, maybe not as like last year. We were, one game away. We went into the game tied, so we needed other teams to decide our fate. We were out of it 3 games earlier, but still one of those yes, I get the injuries and all that. I get the, um, being happy about where we were. I mean, again, we asked and talked about the final month was just give us meaningful baseball. We didn't expect this team to be playing the way they were at the end of the season, so I do think that a lot of that goes on credit to Torey. But at the same time, if we're going to credit Torey for having them ready to play for the final season, I think he deserves some blame for even. I know you guys mentioned it on the last show with the Padres series, the fact that even Jack Summers himself was like, this clubhouse seemed way too relaxed going into that Friday night game against the Padres. Like, I think they expected and thought the Padres would genuinely just roll over, like it didn't matter no matter what. Like, they're just gonna let the Dbacks into the playoffs, let them do what they want, and rest people up for the Cubs series. But it's a divisional opponent. I don't think anybody's going to go easy on a divisional opponent. I mean, look at the Marlins. They literally pushed back Sandy Alcantara to kind of help keep the Marlins out of the playoffs. We would want our team to play as hard as possible, even against the Padres if the roles were reversed, or even the Giants, whatever.
So they had a shot at that number one wild card still, and that's why they were trying in that first game.
Exactly, and plus I think it also goes back to why people. The last couple of years, we've seen people complain about the number 2 overall seeds getting a first round bye, being like, "Oh, that much time off, not seeing major league pitching and not, like actually trying for 4 or 5 games really hurts your adrenaline and hurts you, in your momentum." To where I think the Padres were like, let's keep the foot on the gas, let's keep going, let's play as hard as we can going into that wild card series. So I think a lot of that goes down to Torey not having that team prepared, because like Jack Summers was even saying on the Snakes Territory show with Jesse, which I have some more thoughts, or we'll bring up some more of their show and what they were saying when we get into some discussions here in a minute. But I think definitely some of the blame goes to Torey of having that team not ready to go on Friday night, because yes, they were up early, but it generally looked like after that home run from Tatis and whatnot, they just did not look like they were ready to play. It looked like they were expecting for everyone else to take care of the business for them, and they just could get gifted wins. And obviously, we know that's not how this game works. And we saw the season end in heartbreaking fashion there on Friday night, and see potentially Zach Gallen's last start as a D-back, and some other guys' potential last time and last go around as a Diamondback, as we once again miss out on playoff baseball. And I just, after seeing this wildcard series, man, I just miss it. I have a crazy work schedule. Most nights I work like 5 to 11 now, and it's usually like on the days when we be doing the show. So I haven't been able to be here for a lot of the shows, but I'm here now. Thankfully, we're trying to get at least one day scheduled every single week, where we can sit down and do this for our off-season shows, to where I can be here for the rest of the shows, because again, I miss being on here for you guys. I know you guys were holding down the fort, but I was getting that diaper money. So, but moving on into into topic number 2 here. Obviously, we can be talking an entire hour about Torey Lovullo and our thoughts and opinions on his managerial style and all that. There is a little bit more of news this time, actually more on the roster and kind of what we can expect in the offseason and in 2026. So there was a little bit of news of Tyler Locklear. He, makes sense why we kind of saw him struggle a little bit offensively. He did have a shoulder issue, and he ended up getting not only shoulder surgery, but elbow surgery as well. Thankfully, even like Jack said on their show with him and Jesse, this isn't going to affect his throwing arm, but it will affect him. Obviously, as a hitter, you need both shoulders to hit, so it will affect him there. It kind of leads into what Mike Hazen was saying about their offseason plans. Mike Hazen did say that it would be very pitching heavy, which makes sense. Obviously, we lost out on Merrill Kelly. Potentially could lose out on Zach Gallen. We've talked about at the beginning of the part of the show. We need a bullpen overhaul. We talked about in our Discord. We need a lockdown guy. Maybe a guy like Helsley. Maybe you go after a guy like Williams. Maybe other guys. Suarez, like, we're going to need more than just one guy. We're going to need a couple guys, so they're going to be very pitching heavy. And he said that they really don't plan on doing much in regards to their first base situation, and that they're feeling pretty content with the options of Pavin, Locklear, and Tawa at first base, which is, we can definitely dive in and get some thoughts on that one. He also mentioned, or I think there was a Gambo tweet that mentioning that Gallen or Kelly could be targeted for a return, but it would likely only be one of them and not both. So obviously they're probably going to give a qualifying offer to Zach Gallen. If he signs for over $50 million to some other team, we get a comp A pick. And if he signs for some of the team less than that, then we get a lower value pick, but still a compensatory pick. in the draft coming up next year. So could be one of them, could be both of them, could be none of them, or it could be one of them, could be none of them, but it's not going to be both of them. And then Hazen also did, I believe, in the same show talking about the offseason plans, did admit that he regretted not being a buyer at the deadline instead of being a seller. And I know our man Gabe, it was sitting here, even on our group chat, he's like, they called him a madman for saying that they should have been buyers instead of sellers. And even the Dbacks GM himself definitely confirmed that looking back on it, obviously hindsight being 2020, definitely would have preferred being buyers because we missed a lot of thump in that lineup, especially at first base. Obviously, Blaze had a couple of games here and there where he was solid, but left a big hole in the lineup there. And obviously, considering who we got back, like Locklear didn't help in the final few weeks there. Garcia was okay out of the bullpen. You know, the pieces that we got back in the trade didn't really help much in this postseason push. So I guess if you could undo it and control Z, you would definitely take back, guys like Gino, Josh Naylor, and all that. But obviously they can't. But in regards to all this news here, I think for me the thing that mostly sticks out here is their plans to stick with Pavin, Locklear, and Tawa at first base. Jack did on his show, him and Jesse, he was saying that they had a little bit of a disagreement where Jesse was trying to defend Pavin a little bit. Not being like online where people were like, oh my God, you Pavin haters, you guys just don't look at the actual numbers. He was definitely trying to be like, hey,
I use my eyes, bro.
Yeah,
use my eyes.
Jesse was on the side of like he could still be at least above average batter, above average first baseman. But Jack put a lot of facts out there, which if you guys haven't heard it yet, definitely go recommend listening to the newest episode they put out tonight. After you obviously listen to this episode here of Dbacks Dispatch, gosh, why would you leave us early? But even he was saying that the outlook for Pavin is not a good option, and with all the numbers that he brought up and all that, having him, Locklear, and Tawa, even Locklear missing a little bit of time, that's looking pretty bleak, and we're looking like a pretty pretty big black hole in our lineup and in our defense. So to me personally, that's what stood out: the fact that they're only going for pitching and they're kind of content where they are on the rest of the lineup. But in regards to everything else, obviously Tyler Locklear there. The rest of the offseason plans, and even Hazen wishing he could undo his trade deadline moves. Gabe, what do you think about the kind of the plan that's laid out for us going into the offseason and into 2026?
It's just more rewarding mediocrity to rewarding just bad play in general. Like last season, coming into, I guess, the season starting, this team did nothing to address the DH situation. They just got Randall Grichuk, who was coming off a career year, but I think we all kind of knew that he was going to regress a little bit, and we all kind of felt that, even if he regressed a little bit, we should maybe just have him as a primary DH and then, move some guys here and there. And then, Hazen announced, yeah, he's going to split time with Pavin Smith, and we're all like, really? Like the guy who has shown throughout his career to just not be more than just, I don't even know. I can't even say he's a replacement bat because he truly isn't. He has truly shown to have no real value throughout his whole career. And, in this case, he had one good year really last year. But even then, it was still like super, super limited. But what a lot of people bring up is just like, oh, well, he had a pretty decent season. Look at his average. Look at his on base. But that was all from the first 20 or so games of the season when he was batting like 400. And after that, he just had an absolute monumental collapse. And I even brought up at the time before, the collapse started that he's striking out a lot. He wasn't walking as much as he probably should. And for the most part, he was getting lucky. And then now we can see the Savant page that he has now. I mean, it was all red, but we see in this case expected on base 327. He was at 362. Expecting batting average 223. He was at 258. And expected slugging 410. He was at 434. So this is a guy whose expected stats are saying, this is a guy who's barely going to be a 700 OPS type of guy. And that's if they're lucky. He just strikes out way too much. His strikeout rate was at 32%. 32%. If you're a minor leaguer and you have 32% strikeout rate, you're not making it to the major leagues. You're never going to make it to the major leagues unless, you're hitting 40, 50 bombs in the minors and they're like, all right, well, this guy is Joey Votto. He's just going to hit a bunch of home runs, walk a lot, and then, just strike out a bunch. But since that home run that he hit against Tampa Bay, which was really the last time he was actually good for this team, In 65 games since then, obviously he had an injury. He's batting 215, 4 home runs in 65 games. That's basically what he's gonna bat this season coming up. If they're gonna platoon him, Tawa, and Locklear, so 65 games is probably what he's gonna get. And in that time, 40 hits, 4 home runs, 19 RBI. Our primary DH gave us 19 RBI.
Jesus.
So overall, just absolutely disappointing. And then even if you look at his stats, base running value -1, fielding value -2, like he provides zero value, zero range, -2. Like there's nothing about him that shows that he should be, you know, on a major league roster, which sounds mean to say or bad to say in this case, but he's a guy who just has no value. He has been either at zero or negative value most of his career, and to basically give him the job without earning it is just goes to show that how unserious this organization is and how they feel about payment. And he can do no wrong in their eyes, and they're just telling us like, oh, we just hope that he turns things around. Like the man is 30 years old. Like how much more time does he need?
Yes, I think I think a lot of us especially a lot of the viewers in the chat here, kind of agreed. Not even, I guess, just on the whole pavement side. Scott's kind of all of us saying we need a credible closer. It's time to pony up instead of dumpster diving for rejects. And I think Charles kind of sums it up. Everything about Paven's numbers there. Even he says, let's go mediocrity at first base. And that's pretty much what Paven is. That's pretty much, again, I'm mean it in the nicest way I possibly can there, but this isn't a guy that we've seen, like, at least with Jordan Lawler and some of these other guys. Oh, yeah, it's not even 100 plate appearances. It's not even 150 plate appearances. They're starting to turn around, whatnot. It's a dude that has 1,500 plate appearances, and even Jack Summers said non-elite hitters, when they reach like their age 30 season, just kind of fall off the cliff when it comes to their productivity, and that's kind of what we're going to be seeing. So I do agree with you, and even Scott Mack saying Pavin Smith a .4 WAR this year. That's about what I'd rate the Dbacks organization. I know, Scott, let it out. Trust me, man. It's been a frustrating end of the season here, so I know this is a safe place, so we can all let it out here. Our man Disruptor saying who's got a craving for Pavin. Apparently the front office does. Apparently the front office has a big craving for Pavin.
It's the first pick that this front office made. They're
and
unwilling to move on.
It's very unfortunate because, again, he has some good tools here and there. Obviously, I think he'd be an okay bench bat. Just to face righties alone, but he's not even good really defensively. He's not really that good. He's terrible against lefties. I think he has like a 500 something OPS. So I don't see why we would hope to have him as our number one option at first base there. But I'm assuming that's Cruz is a.
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Not sure, but either way, I think a lot of us in the comments kind of agree that is definitely very questionable to not even think about going at least some other route at first base. I know there's been some discussion in one of our Discord about like, oh, maybe getting like Goldie and platooning. I mean, trust me, I'd love anytime the thought of Goldie being back in the D-backs uniform, I'd love it. But Goldschmidt is pretty terrible against righties. He'd be kind of the reverse of Pavin, or maybe that's the route they want to go. Have Goldie in there just to face lefties. Have Pavin only in there to face righties. I wouldn't necessarily hate that, and I think that'd be a better option, especially defensively at first base, because even Goldie, in his old man age, is probably still a better defensive first baseman than Pavin Smith has ever even dreamed about. But the likelihood of that happening, probably not. But I don't know, especially if it sounds like they're going to put all their money into bullpen. Just give me Devin Williams. I know this year he wasn't great, but his track record speaks for what he offers as a closer. And I think that he would do pretty well here. And I think that'd be the best option.
We mentioned it, or I've mentioned it before about believing the back of a baseball card. If the back of the baseball card says this guy has had success throughout his whole career, then that if he struggles for 1 year, that probably means he's going to be great the next year. And for Pavin, like you mentioned, 1,500 plate appearances. Locklear, he's not young. He's 25 years old. He's 25 years old, and he's had all the opportunities in the world on this team. It wasn't like he was being platooned or anything. And in that time, even he,
is it possible that he was hurt though? Like when we got him, is it possible he was hurt and that's why he struggled with his swing?
Well, apparently, what it is, it's that play with the Lawler play that he just kind of like put his arm out in an awkward angle, so that's what they were giving him surgery for. It was for that play specifically that he had
for his elbow and his shoulder, or was it just his shoulder?
It was both. It was both because it's both kind of. If you look at the replay, it literally pulls back his shoulder, but also his elbow looks really awkward in that play. But I mean, maybe. But I mean, if you look at his minor league stats, he wasn't that good in the minor leagues either. He had over 30% strikeout rate in the minor leagues, and everyone wanted to hype him up to be, the next Paul Goldschmidt for some reason online because everyone has to defend this front office's moves. And I was like, he's just Pavin with slightly better power at most, and he couldn't even show that. So,
right-handed hitting Pavin.
Right-handed Pavin.
If only we could have had the rumors of, instead of trading Gino for Locklear, could have traded Gino for Cam Schlittler. Oh my goodness!
I think that would have cost Kelly as well. I think that's what.
I'd fucking be okay with it after looking at what fucking Cam Schlittler did in the playoffs here. Jesus fucking Christ! I would go back, and if we can go back in time and not be Sailors, cool. But if we can go back in time and undo a trade, instead of getting Tyler Locklear, I would just stick with Pavin, Smith, and Tawa the rest of the season. Give me fucking Cam Schlittler. My God, dude went bonkers today, but more about him. But Brandon, passing it on to you. Obviously, I know Gabe and I are kind of on the same page about the glaring hole at first base here, kind of sticking out to us as being the big surprise there in regards to their offseason plans, that they're not really going to address that part of the team. What are your thoughts on everything that roster wise we kind of got news on, whether it's Locklear, his injury, and being out for probably the start of 2026, or just even some of Mike Havens' comments on the offseason plans and potentially him wishing he could go back and undo what he did at the trade deadline?
I think this all but confirms that they are not going to be spending a lot this offseason. The fact that they're going to be running it back at first base with Tawa, Pavin, and Locklear, to me just confirms that their budget for this offseason is going to be limited, and they decided to focus on pitching, which sucks. It really does, because first base needs to be a position of strength. It needs to be a power hitting position, and those three combined, like even those three separate, are just, it's not going to be enough. One person I would like them to see, and I don't think a lot of people talking about, is a Japanese player, Kazuma Akamoto. Can play first and third and outfield. Now he
Sounds
is
like a future Dodger to me.
He's a little bit older. He's about the age of Pavin. He is 29, but he has some pop, y'all. Like the last few years, he's been averaging 30 and 100. So, someone I would like them to potentially go after there, to play first or third, because I still think those two positions are still major weaknesses on this team.
Somebody they can target in the draft in a few years? Rentaro Sasaki? Go look at his numbers.
And in terms of the starting pitching, Gallen or Kelly, like I go back and forth because there's pros and cons with either one. Like the qualifying offer, like you said, if he signs for more than 50, it's a late first round pick. If he signs for less than 50, I believe it's a late second round pick, which is still a decent draft pick. And I really was impressed the way that he pitched the second half. I really, really was. I'm like, this was the Gallen of old, and I really liked it. If they plan on bringing him back, you have to sign James McCann. You have to do whatever. You cannot let Gallen come back and not have James McCann on this roster as our backup catcher. He has to be there. Kelly is... it's a hard one for me, because he didn't look great for Texas. He didn't look that great for Texas. He is 37, so even if they offer him a contract, it's got to be like a 2-year, 1 year with a player option for that second. Like, is it possible neither one of them come back? Absolutely. I think it absolutely could be true. I just think that with our lack of starting pitching depth at the major league level right now, we need to sign at least one of them. And I think for the long term, I think it's probably Gallen.
Especially with what he did at the end of the season. We kind of saw a little bit of shades of, 22, 23 Zach Gallen.
Yeah, because he stopped calling his own pitches and they gave it to James McCann. Like, as soon as James McCann took over his pitch calling, or just anyone did, that's when we saw him really go back to the Zach Gallen of old. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be an interesting offseason. I know Scott Boras is going to be making a lot of money with a guy like Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman, and might
Yeah.
make
First of
a
all,
little
that's
bit more
not
money.
happening. I really wish it
Oh,
would, but
no,
the
no
fact
shot.
that I think our budget is going to be about 60 million this offseason, there's no way you're going to do half of it with Pete Alonso.
Or let me put on my tinfoil hat. If he said that maybe this is a Mike Hazen, he's holding his cards to a chest. Maybe he's saying we're not going after a first baseman, but realistically, they're actually going to spend money on Pete Alonso and a closer, and they're gonna ship off Pavin to the gulag. But
Yeah,
So
there's
just put Arias
there's
on there. As far as I know,
there's
Arias
going to
is
be
a
some
free agent, right?
interesting moves that they're going to have to make because of how many guys are on the 60-day.
yeah,
There's a lot of guys on the 60-day IL right now, and soon they're going to have to make that decision.
and Scott, my man, you know it's not the IPA one. It's a different athletic. Honestly, anything athletic wise is delicious. Great NA. Dbacks, listen to me, motherfuckers. You took away the only good non-alcoholic you guys had at the stadium. Give me something like this, please. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. I need to drink a nice frosty beverage.
They have a Coors, right? Is that what it is?
The Coors Edge, they basically took it away this year. I checked like every single stadium I could find, or every single part of the stadium I could find, and they just don't have the Coors Edge. So at least this one, it doesn't taste like piss.
How do, how do you know what piss tastes like, Brett?
You never go camping. I'm just kidding. You gotta live your Bear Grylls moment, at least once in your life, right? But yeah, so it'll
Brokeback
definitely be
Mountain.
interesting. What were you saying, Gabe?
I said it just on Brokeback Mountain.
Did you have any other thoughts on the whole scenario here? Obviously, what we're looking at. I know even the chat is in regards to Locklear saying. I know Charles said he's probably going to be Seth Beer 2.0. At least Seth Beer gave us one of the best opening day memories of all time.
Yeah.
Seth Beer on National Beer Day hitting a walk-off home run against the ringless San Diego Padres. Like,
Man, you hate that fan base so much.
fucking so much, dude. I was this close to going on victory laps, but they obviously had to win one game, and they technically won one more game than we did, but
I don't know. I feel like there's enough free agents starting first baseman this year that someone's not going to be signing for a ton of money. Like we have Josh Naylor, Pete Alonso, Luis
Ryan
Arias,
O'Hearn.
Ryan O'Hearn. Like there's, I don't know, about 7 or 8 really good,
give me Kyle
really good
Schwarber,
first
DH,
basemen. I
give
mean,
it to
Paul
me.
Goldschmidt as well.
That's like 40 million AAV, right? At
Dude,
least.
seeing Kyle Schwarber hit fucking taters into that red truck in right field, worth it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like there's enough, I think, enough wealth to go around because if there's 7 or 8 or even close to 10 guys that are coming to free agency this season who are first basemen, not every team is going to be able to pick up 2 guys. Like no one's going to pick up 2 of these guys. Every team's going to pick up 1 of these guys, and then, realistically, how many teams in this league are going to be spending money for next season? It's going to be the same teams as always. It's going to be the top 5 to 10 teams who are going to
Especially
be
with
spending.
potential lockout looming. I wonder
Yeah,
if I
with
might
the
be a little
lockout
afraid.
coming up, the Padres, by the way, have like 6 or 7 big name guys who are going to be free agents for next season as well. So they can either choose to not spend or spend. I mean, they gave up their number 1 prospect as well to get Mason Miller. So there's a lot of guys coming off the books this season for a lot of teams. So again, Josh Naylor is going to be out there as well. So
I don't think they bring him back.
I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But either way, the
Be
point
probably the
is,
more affordable option out of the.
like I said, at some point, one of these guys is going to go for below market value, and that's I think maybe what this team has to do. Just wait it out, get a guy like Naylor for $15 to $17 million a year for 3 years, and then obviously you include player options and stuff like that. So makes it worth their while. So I do think they should still go for it. Again, we have so much money coming off the books. No Jordan Montgomery, no Zach Gallen, no Merrill Kelly. Who else? There's a lot of guys. I mean, potentially Gurriel. He can still also come off the books. Yeah, so there's enough guys, I think, who are coming off the books. And I know there's salaries rising, but Kendrick did say on the radio that this team made a lot of money. They had the eighth or ninth most attendance ever, or since 2008 or whatever it was. So he said that this team made really good money off of the attendance and everything else included. So he said that he said specifically they're not going to spend as much. So it was about 220 million in the offseason they spent. He said it's not going to be that much, but it's not going to be significantly less. So there could be, like you said, maybe about 60 million that they're going to be able to spend, be around 180, 190 million that they're going to be willing to spend, and that could go to a first baseman.
Yeah, I'll be happy to know that I chipped in at least a nice little penny here and there on all those filthy mac fries and hot honey fries throughout the season this year. Which I swear to God, if we get to 2026 and those aren't in the stadium still and they take them out for some other bullshit, I'm rioting. Like, stop changing the menu, man. Like, I will literally go to, even if this team is a
Send
70.
a message to your season ticket rep then.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that because I need those filthy mac fries and the hot honey chicken fries to stay till next year. I would literally go to games even if this is a 70-win team just for those two items specifically. I'm not even kidding you. That's how good they are. But yeah, it'll be an interesting offseason alone. I do think that Kendrick's gonna take a personal, knowing that, like, hey, you know what? I spent money. Obviously, injuries and all that. Cool. Like, if you need a bullpen, let's go do it. Like, if you need, I think even like one like Justin saying in the comments here that Brandon highlighted a minute ago, saying let's go Robert Suarez or Ryan Helsley or Pete Alonso or Kyle Schwarber for DH or first baseman. The final two there, Alonso and Schwarber, we'd probably only get one of them. And it'd be very expensive. Again, I would not hate. Schwarber is also just a strict DH. Like, we should not have him in the field at all. I beg you, go look up at some defensive highlights of him, even in left field. Like, he's not a first baseman,
What
but
defensive highlights?
that exactly. They're more like low lights. But you don't need to worry about fucking defense when the dude's hitting almost like 50 to 60 bombs every single season. But definitely, I would prefer to see them address the first base situation and the bullpen going into 2026 because I would prefer not to go through another season like this where it's just mediocrity in multiple scenarios. But even with a mediocre team, like what Two Cats saying, the Dbacks would win 150 games if they were in the AL. The American League is so bad that the Indians won the division with the worst team batting average in the whole league, embarrassing league. And I do think that, like, the American League is weaker than it has been in the past. I think there's a stat from one of the stat pages, I'm forgetting which one exactly, that had the top 10 OPS plus leaders in the league. And if you look at the AL list, hitters like 3 through 10 would be numbers like, I think 13 or would be numbers like 10 through 17 or whatever the fuck it is, because just the AL hitters are just that far behind what we're seeing in the NL. Obviously, we have Schwarber, Ohtani, but even like Corbin Carroll was up there, guys like that, where it seems like the NL is far and away the better league when it comes to the balance and the overall product that we're seeing out of one specific league. And then one more I wanted to bring up here. I like how Gunther's saying, you guys pulling for Dodgers or Phillies. Can we just have, can we get Fallout in real life and just
That's Hitler versus Stalin right there.
literally it's Hitler versus Stalin. I mean, I will root for the Phillies because I will never root for a divisional opponent. And it sucks because, like, I if the Phillies go on to win one, cool. I don't. I mostly hated them because of 2023, and yes, they'll be annoying, but I'd rather deal with the Phillies winning a World Series or even going to another one than Dodgers winning back to back. Or just in general, I'll never root for a divisional opponent. Like, if it was the Dodgers or Padres, obviously I have to root for one of them. In that scenario, I probably would have still rooted for the Dodgers because I'm never gonna I never want to see those ringless losers enjoy anything other than Brandon. I know Brandon is an actual good fan, but a lot of fans online, especially my boy Nick. My boy Nick is a great Padre fan, but a lot of the other fan base there, I would like to see
I don't blame you. I see the way that they interact on social media. I'm like, wow, all of you, like, this just proves that all you have only been fans since 2020.
I know. I think TSA just ended up throwing away Tatis's ringworm cream when he went through the airport check. He just had too many ounces of it. Because go look up his numbers. PU, what is that smell? But going back into some more specific Dbacks related topics here, obviously, in regards to the Locklear injury, this next topic and discussion, it's not like it's a new injury. It's definitely something that we already, had happened. It was heartbreaking. It's one of the reasons why we were kind of in the position we're in. But Corbin Burns, who is obviously going through the recovery process of Tommy John, I believe there was an article or a tweet out there saying that he is potentially eyeing a return around the All Star break. Obviously, around the All Star break being very vague, that could be before, that could be after. I'm trying to remember exactly when he was injured. I think it was in around. I thought it was like mid to late May. Thought it was like mid to late May he was injured because I know my son was already born, and it was during my leave when I was sitting still at home with Kayla. So I'm fairly certain it was mid
Late
to late
May.
May. Late May, yeah. So it would make sense because I think in like middle of July, is the All Star games in like July, right?
Yeah, it's usually like
Yeah,
the second week of
Yeah, so
July.
that would put the entire recovery time around like 12 to 14 months.
yeah, which is
If
normal.
which is normal. So it's not too surprising, but it definitely sounds a lot better than a lot of us expecting him being back here in like August and even like September and all that. So definitely, at least it's not like it's gonna be ideal, but Gandalf and the rest of the saviors are coming to Helm's Deep. They are right around the corner. They will be at that hill, ready to be at the dawn of a new day and ride to our Savior. So hopefully that is what Corbin Burns is going to be for this team. Sorry, I had to bust out my nerdy Lord of the Rings reference. But what are your thoughts and hopes on obviously the potential return around the All Star break? Do you think it's going to be maybe closer to when he was actually injured? Do you think that they're going to play it safe and they might push it back a little bit to be after the All Star break? When do you think we're actually going to see the 2026 season debut of Mr. Burns?
Mr. Burns. Um, I think it all just depends on if this team actually makes moves to improve the starting pitching. If they have, four decent starters and then just a guy that they threw in there, then I think he might be able to come in a little bit earlier. But I think if it's, let's just say, for example, they bring back Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, and they have Erod, Fott, and Nelson. They might just push him back just a little bit, just to get him ready to completely, to recover. Because Tommy John isn't just one of those things like, you recover after 6 months and then you're in. Like the actual recovery process itself, you got to learn to throw the ball again. It's like any major surgery. It takes 12 to 14 months. But as we've seen with guys like Walker Bueller and a whole bunch of other guys that have gotten Tommy John, it takes a while. It takes up to even close to 2 years for players to be what they were before. And in his case, he is 30 years old, like or plus 30. So it might just take him a little bit while longer. It just depends on how desperate this team is for his services. So I can see him being back by the All-Star break. And, hopefully by that time, he has 20, 30, 40 innings in the minor leagues and he's able to come back and really help this team out. And yeah, I think it's just fully going to depend on if this team is serious about starting pitching or not.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a factor into where they are standing wise. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be opting out after next season. I mean, it could realistically, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they're like, hey Corbin, I know you have the player option. We still want you here. Obviously, we've wanted you here. That's why we gave you the contract. We want to prioritize your health. We want to make sure that all that's going on. So I wouldn't be surprised if they push it off because it does seem like they're going to be a little bit more, I guess, protective of some of the players, especially seeing how many Tommy Johns. I mean, it's not like it's out of the option for something to happen a second time. I think Daniel Hudson came back from his first Tommy John, and then very quickly after he was back in the majors, he had another Tommy John surgery. So he had two in the span of like 2.5 years, something like that. So I know that was a long time ago, and every player's different. I mean, look at 37-year-old Aroldis Chapman still throwing 101 with two different pitches, and he's missed more time because of an infected tattoo than he has with any arm issues. So no pitcher is the same, but
Yeah, I think the thing that complicates it is that he is a starting pitcher. Daniel Hudson came back as a reliever, and so
mhm.
he's the guy who can optimize velocity over length. And with Corbin Burns being a guy who has to throw for 6-7 innings, he has to optimize the actual length rather than the speed itself, like Daniel Hudson did.
Optimize that length all day long, baby. But Brandon, passing it along to you. Sorry, passing it along to you. What are your thoughts on the potential return for Corbin Burns around the All Star break? you kind of in the same boat as Gabe, where it, it might depend on a few factors here and there, or do you think it's going to be one of those where, in this team's mindset where we're seeing with a lot of Tommy Johns, you think they're going to push it back as much as possible and aim for more after the All-Star break to give them as much time as possible to get back up to speed?
I think it depends on how the team's playing at the beginning of July. Like, if we're in a spot where we're like around 500, I don't know, 3 or 4 games back of a wild card, or have a shot at the division, I could see him, being ready to go by the All Star break. I personally don't see a need to rush him back, based on all the reports as to how this team's going to handle this offseason. I just don't see a reason to rush him back because he is going to be here for the long term. Like you said, I don't think he's going to opt out after year 2. I think he's going to opt in, so he's going to be here for the long term. There's no reason to rush it back. Now, if he's feeling like really, really great in the middle of May, and it looks like he is trending to be ready to go sooner, sure, go ahead and bring him back. And kind of like what Gabe said, like, it depends on what our starting pitching situation is looking like at that time. Like, we know we're going to have Nelson, we know we're going to have Fott, but
knock on wood, because we don't know with this team's injury luck, we don't know shit.
We will most likely, even though the fan base doesn't want it, us included, Erod is most likely going to also be in that starting rotation. So I think those are the 3 confirmed ones. Most likely will be there opening day. So yeah, I think there's a lot of question marks there. There's also some guys in the minor leagues that could they make some sort of jump this off season, playing winter ball or something, playing in the fall league. So there's a lot of it just depends on, kind of like Gabe said, like, what's our starting pitching gonna be looking like at that point.
Yeah, so I think the state of the team in itself, like, who knows, maybe we have a guy like Spencer Geisting who kind of rose through the minors this year. Maybe him, maybe Yumin Lin, maybe they kind of impress out of spring training and they win one of those bullpen spots and actually start off the season doing at least more than a serviceable job to where they don't have to worry about rushing Corbin Burns back and being like, hey, you know what, slow roll, take your time. Or maybe we're literally dropping like flies again and we're having to rely on Ryan Nelson and Brandon Fott to be our, number 1, number 2, and then we're getting, 4-inning Erod back again with, the bullpen games every 4th day. So it kind of depends. It's, if it's option A, slow roll them. If it's option B, and we're still in contention but just hurting really badly for starting pitching, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, hey, you know what, do what we can to at least get you in innings. Like, yes, maybe you're going to be an opener. You only face like, one lineup or one turn through the lineup. You're on a very limited, pitch count of like 50 to 60 pitches at most. But I'd rather see him at least, if that's the case, do it against major league bats, then go down into Reno and face some of these minor league guys where it's...
He can do what Ohtani has done, just 2 innings, then 4, then 5, and then eventually work up to 6.
Ohtani was a very, it was over like the course of like 6 weeks. Like, they did, kind of like Gabe said, like 2, and then they went up to like 4, and then he didn't really go deep until he faced us.
Ooh, he didn't go deep until he got to us.
Oh my god, I forgot. Pause. Until he faced us, and that was almost probably 2 months after he was a starting pitcher again. So they could do it that way.
I wouldn't hate, because we all know that pitching down in Reno, like, we know who, like Gabe said, it's the back of the baseball card. We know who Corbin Burns is as a major leaguer, but I'd rather him just come up here and face other major leaguers than go down there, dominate some minor leaguers and whatnot in Reno, and then come back up. Just, slow roll him in the majors, get him up. I think that's the best way to get him up to speed because, like we've seen with Pavin Smith, Alec Thomas, AAA hitters are not major league hitters, and that's putting it very lightly. Like, it's definitely a big jump and a big leap from AAA to major league quality talent, whether it's pitching or hitting. So I think it'll be kind of one of those where it'll be interesting to see once we get closer into, the later half of April and even into May. maybe he's a faster healer. Maybe him only having this be the first injury in his history, this caliber at least. Because I don't think he's gotten a Tommy John before. I know there's a couple guys like just Martinez is now second Tommy John. So I don't think this is
I
number
mean, he
two
is.
for him.
How old is Jamar? Like 23, 24. So
I think 24.
yeah, it could be fine for him. I mean, we've seen guys recover. Like look at oh shoot, Degrom. He's had two already. He's come back fine. Obviously, his
Unk
age.
still got it, man. Unk still got it.
He's like 37. He still comes back, pumping 98, 99. So I think it all depends on everybody, like how they recover. Corbin Burns' velo was actually about the same as it's ever been. So it wasn't
Was
like
he number 3 or 4 when it came to guys on the team getting Tommy John? Because I know Blake Walson was number 1.
Yeah, that was in spring
Montgomery
training.
was number 2 in spring training. They announced it 2, I think.
Okay.
I think 3 was Puck. Well, Puck, they didn't announce fully they needed Tommy John. They kept doing the whole, like, oh, he's just on the IL for a couple months. And I think after J Mart officially got it, a week or 2 later, he got it too.
All right, so technically it's 5, but it's really 4 guys on the current roster.
Yeah. Which, goddamn, man. Can everybody just figure out what the fuck Aroldis Chapman is putting in his body? Like, is his arm made of actual rubber? The dude is genuinely 37 years old and still throwing 101 miles an hour.
Smoking cigars.
Whatever it is, man. Like, if it's smoking cigars, whatever the diet is, whatever training regime, maybe it's the 50 reps of mommy milker grabbing, whatever it might whatever it might be.
Like that baby oil. I know it's that baby oil that he puts on every time.
Exactly.
The year he had this year, he's
Unreal.
gonna get Cy Young votes. Like, he's obviously not gonna win it, but he's gonna get some votes.
He was a guy that, like, I didn't want here just because he sucks as a person, but he was one of those guys where he was out for so long in the, in what's it called, on the free agent market, and I was just like, I don't want him here, but like if they got him, I might, I might turn to a slight fan.
Like
I wouldn't.
Saying Chapman has a 3.5 WAR. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like that's insane. For
What's Mason Miller's? Because I feel like Mason Miller might have a little bit more, just what he did kind of the end of the half with the Padres especially. Which we'll definitely dive into it more too. But goddamn, that's another. I think Mason Miller also
2.1.
2.1. Okay, I think it's because he played so many of his games
for
Miller.
E-War.
I think it's because he had so many games for the A's where I think they probably factor in those games a little bit less meaningful than a playoff game. But we'll dive into more a little bit of Mason Miller here in a second here, because we're gonna discuss some of the playoff games. But any other Dbacks related news you guys wanted to touch on? Maybe something I know there was a little bit of a discussion about Jordan Lawler potentially playing center field in Winter League. So yeah, I don't know if you guys wanted to dive into that, but
yeah, I kind of want to discuss that a little bit. I think that's a better position, and it's a bigger position of need for us, because it looks like he was definitely struggling at third here, but that's kind of what happens when you play twice a week. I think his speed and his arm would do wonders in center field. Like, I think
my fears would just be a Chris Owings 2.0 situation. Is my only.
Or could it be Chris Young?
Was Chris Young an infielder though?
No, but you said Chris, and I wanted to link it to.
That's fair. I mean, hey, he could be, but I just always think of Chris Owings.
Wasn't Justin Upton taken as a shortstop? I believe he was. So I mean, I guess that would be a good, like, if you put him in center and then Alec in left, it's a better option than Jake. Not the best option, but
or
slightly better option.
Lawler in left too. Like, you could do either one. Like, because I'm sorry, I cannot go so many games with Alec in center and Jake in left. I just can't.
I mean, Alec did do a little bit better this year compared to the other years, but I feel like he's kind of run out of time to develop. I mean, he's 25, so he is still young, especially compared to Jake. Jake is going to be 29 next season, so at least Jake, in his case,
I think he was the same draft as Pavin, right?
He was.
I think so, yeah. I think it was just the second round, like 32 or 33, whatever he was.
Hazen truly knocked it out the goddamn park with that draft, let me tell you, gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, this was before he had Emil Sade, and that's the guy I was like, if they were in part ways with Hazen, I feel like they would be really good with Sade.
I think they have to part ways with Alec or Jake this offseason. One of them. Like, we can't have, like, they both have really only one skill set. Alec is defense, Jake, it's his speed. I
I
just
feel like Alec at least has again. I'm trust me. I even had this conversation with my dad today, where it's very frustrating. So many people on this team are streaky hitters. I mean, I know baseball players alone are just streaky in itself, but I feel like Alec's ceiling as a baseball player itself, like he does provide more pop. He does provide more power when he can actually barrel up the ball and have some quality ABs. Like I mean, we saw the game against the Twins. We've seen obviously the NLCS home run where Jake McCarthy had that 1 month in August in 2024 where he really just like Pavin just kind of fooled a lot of people into thinking like, oh, this is who this guy is. Where no, like I think Alec Thomas has shown us who he can be. He just has underperformed a lot. Where Jake McCarthy, we
because
know
he
who he's
can't
gonna
keep his
be.
feet still.
Exactly. Where like Jake McCarthy, we know who he is. He just overperformed for a little bit there. So I wouldn't hate moving on from Jake. Especially again, I still don't know why we didn't bring up Christian Robinson. He could potentially sign somewhere else, and we could lose him. And I know a team like the Marlins, the Nationals, the A's would probably turn him into a stud and then trade him to a fucking contending
Dodgers.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a really interesting offseason with the Arizona Fall League and the Winter League as well. Like, if Lawler plays in center or left or whatever in the Fall League, in the Dominican League, and does really good there, like if his numbers show that he's just barreling up the ball, he's doing as good as he did in September, then he could win a spot or just have him be trying that spot out during spring training. And one guy we haven't mentioned yet, but Waldschmidt. Waldschmidt has been incredible in the minor leagues his whole career. I mean, he got drafted in what 22, I believe. Like he's been or
Walshman, I think, was
23
drafted. I think he was in 24 because we got. I
or
think he was
he was
the guy that we
the
got the
comp
pick
pick,
for
right?
Corbin
The comp
Carroll.
pick for Corbin. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I mean, he's been
I think
rising
it
up
was
through the
him and
minors, and
Caldwell.
yeah.
sometimes at times like guys like that, like the main thing I looked at was the walks. Like this guy just walks so much. He has like over 400 on base, but he also just hits the ball really well. So it's not just that he takes walks, but he also hits the ball. So he is a guy that we could see coming up in spring, and he could win the spot. And that's what I'm hoping for. That it is something that this team is willing to do, is willing to be a meritocracy, and let guys earn their spots. If Lawler starts playing one of the outfield positions, he does well in spring. He looks good out there. Give him the spot. If Walter looks good, give him the spot, and then you just kind of just platoon Alec with one of those guys because I believe both of them are righties. So having platoon with some of these guys,
That's what we need. We need right-handed hitting
yeah.
outfielders.
So you have two of them out there. Blaze, he's kind of the same thing as Jake. You kind of just know who he is. He's a very streaky hitter. He has 3 good weeks, and then just 4, 5, 6 weeks where he's absolute dog ass. I mean, do you look at his numbers in September? He was terrible, and he got all the opportunities in the world. And same with last season. He was great in April, and then he was terrible in May and June. So he is a guy to also look out for to potentially lose a spot. Just depends on what happens with the third base spot. Like if they're gonna just give it to him or try to see what Lawler can do there. But an outfielder of Waldschmidt, Lawler, and Corbin, I'll take that any day.
Don't
Honestly,
also forget the minor league defensive player of the year,
Drew
Drew
Jones.
Jones.
Drew Jones, dude. Drew Jones. That's another thing that will. I'm even thinking of. I'm already planning for next year. I'm thinking at least once a month, at minimum next season. We do. We bring our boy Riley, the AZ Dbacks prospects Twitter account. You guys, we've had him on a couple different shows. You guys should know him. He's like I would say at least I would dub him basically our like prospect guru. Who like knows a lot more about the D-backs minor league system up and down, not just the one system here and there. So I want to at least once a month next season bring him on and kind of get the monthly D-backs prospect recap, like maybe one pitcher and hitter at each level. Because then I think that's a thing with like Drew Jones where I know a lot of us that we eat, sleep, breathe baseball. We fucking know about Drew Jones. Like we literally will see the accounts, but maybe some people that maybe tune in the show here and there, maybe like listen to the show but don't like have a big like online following. Maybe don't see all this other stuff about Drew Jones. It'd be nice to kind of keep tabs on guys throughout the season and know like, oh wow, Drew Jones struggled the first half, but he really turned it on. Like looking at I would say his final like 2 months, still not hitting the ball like a crazy power, but if he can just be a serviceable hitter. I think he had like an over 800 OPS in his final 2 months there, while like Brandon said, playing, he was the best defensive center fielder in not just in the D-back system, not even just in, double A or high A, in all of minor league baseball. and there's literally thousands upon thousands of people there. So if we can kind of see that same production from Drew going forward, I would really be interested to see him on the Sod Poodles at least come opening day for minor league baseball next year, and then throughout the season kind of keep tags on guys like him, Caldwell, Waldschmidt, even some of the pitchers like Geisting, Daniel Egan, as their season goes along. So if you guys enjoy the thought of that, that'd be fun. And then also kind of going back to one of the comments we have in the chat here, Scott Mack is saying I'll actually check out AZ Fall League next week. I've never seen a game. Highly recommend if you guys are local in Arizona and you have a chance and you've not done it yet. It is the best way to watch baseball. I'm not even kidding you. The weather's great. It's never packed. Like the games are always super low capacity and fans. You can just sit wherever
They're
you want.
also mostly night games as well, so it's not
Yeah.
like the spring training where it's 100 degrees outside and at 12
Yeah,
p.m.
I believe it's like 6:30 normally.
Yeah.
And
A
also
lot of
$10 beers most of the time. So
yeah. So a lot
I
better
think it
value.
starts next Monday.
Yeah, and like you said, you can like I got to see Jack Caglione in person last year, at the AZ like championship. You get to see a lot of young prospects in the game that like, who knows, they could be superstars up and coming. You can like whether if you're an autograph person trying to hunt down autographs or just trying to see some young stars. Highly recommend it. The AZ Fall League is fantastic, and who knows, I know he's not in on it this year, but it'd still be fun to see. Maybe Drew Jones kind of do the Jordan Lawler thing, where maybe he goes play some winter ball, or maybe in some other winter and off season league, and get some more reps because I think that a lot of these guys could use some more reps. But uh, going on into like I said, the wish we could talk about D-backs postseason baseball, but with everything going on here, I did want to at least talk about a little bit of the postseason that has happened so far. So obviously the wild card round is officially over after today, and there's been some pretty exciting games. So the Tigers defeated the Guardians in the wild card series. They won today in the winner take all game 3. In game 1, Tarek Skubal could have been a Diamondback. We drafted him. He declined. He went to college. I think we drafted him out of high school in Kingman, which understandable. It was a later round draft pick. He probably could have gone for more, and he said, "Screw it, I'm going to take my chances." And even Gabe said in a group chat, he's developed into who he is. He wasn't like this when he first came up, but he is the best left-hander in the game. He went 7 2/3 in game 1, 14 Ks, and just shut down that Guardians team. He was disgusting there.
Their offense isn't that great.
I mean, still though, he's 14 strikeouts is still insane. I don't think the Guardians are a team that strikes out that much. So 14 Ks against them is insane. And then today, the Tigers kind of put on a big clobbering there, and I think the 7th and 8th inning, they won 6-3, so they take that series 2-1. The Chicago Cubs defeated the San Diego Padres. PC Ass was over 6 with 5 strikeouts in his first 2 games, but kind of clutched up there in game 3. Had 3 hits today. I still don't ever want to see him in a fucking conversation with Corbin Carroll ever again about building a team around one player. It's disgusting. And then, like I said earlier, I kind of made a joke about it, but Fernando Tatis did forget his ringworm cream back in San Diego, and maybe Manny Machado was using it without anybody knowing, because the big 1-2 punch there in San Diego got shut down by that Cubs team. The Cubs did win the series 2-1. There was a little bit of drama there in the 9th inning there. And I'm very happy that they officially announced ABS is coming to the Major League Baseball next year, because while I will make fun of the Padres and all that, they did get kind of screwed out of having a rally there in the 9th inning. A 3-2 pitch that was like 2-3 inches below the zone was called strike 3. And the Padres got hosed a little bit there, but I'm okay with divisional opponents getting hosed in the playoffs because I am a spiteful, hate-watching, petty person. I don't care. And then the series that I feel like a lot of people were watching, whether you weren't a fan of the teams or not, just because of the historic rivalry, was the Yankees and the Red Sox. Red Sox took game 1 there. That was a nice little battle there. Roldis Chapman, bases loaded, pitched out of a jam there at the end. Red Sox took game 1, but then Yankees pretty much. No, game 2 was a really close battle there. U of A legend, one of the few good things from U of A, Austin Wells came up with the go-ahead RBI that knocked in former Diamondback Jazz Chisholm, who apparently took out his anger in game 1 on some poor soul in MLB The Show and mercied them in a game. So whoever that is, I feel bad for you. But the guy that was rumored in a lot of, don't know how true the rumors were, but rumored in a lot of trades for Gino Suarez to the Yankees. Cam Schlittler, my goodness, fucking take a bow. A rookie making his first postseason debut. He went 8 innings of shutout ball, 12 strikeouts, and just ended the Red Sox season there. And then, to nobody's surprise, in the other series, the Dodgers swept the Reds. I think we all saw it after the first at bat. Hunter Green threw like a 101 mile an hour fastball. Shohei Ohtani turned it around for 118 mile an hour, 400 plus foot home run. And then the Dodgers just put on a hurting. I think they scored 17 runs total in like 2 games. So they just beat the shit out of the Reds. So the
Their
Reds,
bullpen tried to give it up though.
their bullpen tried to give it up, but it's the Reds. They're dog ass, which I feel like that would have been the outcome for either us, the Reds, or the Mets. Whoever would have gone in to face the Dodgers, I feel like it would have been probably the same outcome. But you know what? We can all still point and laugh at the Lowell Mets that they literally could not even win a game against the Miami Marlins, and we all got to, be the cucks and watch the Reds just get absolutely fucked by the Dodgers there in that series. But looking at the wild card series, what are your guys' thoughts? I know this is, I think, one of the few times we've seen this many series go to a game 3. I feel like since they've added this new wild card format, there's been a lot of games. I mean, like we saw it with the Dbacks and the Brewers. You see a lot of the wild card series where it's like a 2-0 sweep. So it's definitely nice to see, especially because I just like playoff baseball, and as the series go on, we get less and less of it every day. So I personally was a fan of the 3 series, and I think the best one overall, I would say, was the Cubs and Padres, just because of how close they were all 3 games. But that's also me, like I said, being spiteful and being a petty hate watcher. But what are your guys' thoughts on what we saw here from the teams that actually did make it to October, and how they kind of performed and how the outcomes of some of the series went?
So a lot of teams, I think, showed their ass a lot more than they probably should have. Most teams showed why, or their weaknesses. In this case, the Tigers, they just can't score. They're not a good scoring team. Most of the runs in those games were like infield singles. That was basically mostly what happened there. It was just terrible baseball, terrible product to watch in that series. So I believe they're facing off against the Mariners, and Mariners also don't score a lot. So expect a lot of 3-2, 4-3 games with that. Could be a little bit more exciting. Obviously you have Gino and Naylor there, guys to root for. But the Padres and Cubs, the Padres just has struggled to score this entire season. They had a bit of a hot streak in September, but the Cubs just kind of owned them in this case. And it's not like the Cubs have the best pitching in the world, but I just think
their bullpen's pretty gross.
Yeah, Council's also a good manager. I mean, I know they wanted him gone because of the just absolute collapse that they had in September, the last few weeks or so, but he is a good game manager. In this case, when you give him money and a decent enough team, he can go the distance a bit. PCS is trash. Like, we knew who he was. Everyone didn't believe that, like, 35% strikeout rate or whatever he had, but he really showed why he's there. But honestly, the one that I liked the most was the Yankees and the Red Sox, being rivals. And for the most part, it has been Red Sox centric just because of how much they won. But the most consistent team has been the Yankees, because the Red Sox, if they don't make the playoffs, then they are at the bottom of the division. And in this case, both of them were just close enough the entire year. But the Yankees showed to be the best team, and it sucks, but
They would have won the division if the Blue Jays didn't have the tiebreaker over them, too.
Yeah. And it's also nice to see Goldie. It's always nice to see him getting his hits, and, the Yankees are going to be moving forward. Although I don't, a part of me doesn't believe in them just because so many of those hits were like Yankee Stadium hits. So I'd be very curious to see. One. Yeah, I'd be very curious to see what they do in Toronto, which is a bigger stadium, but Toronto has its own issues as well. So overall, I kind of hate it, but I feel like the most complete team is the Phillies, and I don't know. I don't want to see anybody win. Maybe Seattle. Seattle's probably the only team I want to see win, but the Phillies truly seem to be the only real team, that's complete compared to everybody else. I'm excited to see what Pat Murphy and the Brewers are able to do against the Cubs. They haven't played in about a week, so
toxic series online.
Oh yeah,
because it's the same cities where Packers fans, Brewers fans going up against Cubs fans and Bears fans. It's going to be the manager that left for the Brewers for the Cubs, the divisional rival, and the Brewers win the division back-to-back seasons.
And like you guys were mentioning the bullpen with LA, like they just kept trying to give it up. You know who does take advantage of that? It's the Phillies.
Yes,
the Reds. No one on the Reds has an over 800 OPS. The Phillies, I think there's like no one other than 800 OPS. So you load up the bases with the Phillies in the 8th or 9th, good luck keeping them off the scoreboard.
Yeah, so definitely, I'd say a lot of good, but I do agree with Gabe. You see a lot of these teams that show why maybe they're not cut all the way. Like they're a postseason team, they have that notch over some of the other teams that didn't make it, but definitely the Reds, the Guardians. Like there's a reason why the Guardians were 15 back. The Guardians would not have won the division if it wasn't for the Tigers just collapsing. And even like Gabe said, I think going into Game 3 they were 2 for like 21 with runners in score position in the first two games. Like they generally could not score. But Gabe, I guess before I pass on to Brandon, you kind of talked about some of the matchups there. What are your predictions on who over who in the DS is coming up? So obviously it's the Cubs and Brewers, Dodgers, Phillies, Mariners, Tigers, and Yankees, Blue Jays. Who do you got going on to the championship series in each league?
So I'll say Blue Jays, Seattle, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee.
Okay, I like that. Me personally, I'm rooting for the Cubs just because my brother's a Cubs fan. But I have no dog in this race. As long as I'm more rooting for the Mariners to go and win it all at this point. As long as it's not the Dodgers, or Yankees, I'm okay with anybody else. Again, Phillies win it, it doesn't matter. Like I've
Yeah,
seen them win it
I will
before.
for the asteroid.
Yeah, honestly. Let's get Fallout Season 2 started a little bit early there. But Brandon, looking at the wild card series that we had here, some of the standouts from some of the games. Like I said, uh, three of the series going to the maximum three games. The Reds laying down and just putting their asses in the air for the Dodgers to just take sweet advantage of them. Then looking at what we have as matchups wise, what are your thoughts on the wild card, and then who do you have coming out of each series going into the championship series in each league?
So I thought it was interesting on Tuesday. Who is the AL Cy Young still is up for grabs because Tarek Skubal absolutely shoved, like you said, 7 2/3, 14 Ks, and then Garrett Crochet is like, you know what? Hold up, hold my beer. I'm gonna do just as good.
100 miles an hour on his 117th pitch of the game.
Like
I
he
do think
was.
that voting is submitted before the playoffs begin, though.
It is. It is. I think it's like 2 weeks before the end of the season, but like the fact that like we can still have that debate, like who is this? Because it literally changes every time that they start a game. Like who's better, Tarek Skubal or Garrett Crochet? I thought that was so great on Tuesday, and yeah, when it comes to the Padres,
I'm sorry.
um,
It doesn't have as good
I
of a
could
ring to
tell
it like Fradres because, they don't have a ring. So,
I could tell during game one. I'm like, yep, this is gonna be one of those series where they're gonna score maybe 2 or 3 runs in a game. Like offense just wasn't wasn't doing it. The list of free agents that San Diego has though is pretty intense. Like it's Luis Ariz, Dylan Cease, Suarez with a player option, King with a mutual option, Wani Peralta player option, Ramon Laureano club option, Diaz.
man, the best second baseman in baseball is gonna be a free agent.
Yes. I actually was debating, like, should I bring that up for us to add? No. First base, because that's what he played this year. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mentioned
would
earlier.
you
I'm like,
rather have Luis Arias or a combination of Pavin, Tawa, and Locklear? Right?
Does a 12 gauge answer the question?
So, like, I'm like, that is interesting. And then Ryan O'Hearn. Like, I would like, and not only can Ryan O'Hearn play first base, he can play left and right. So that would also, but he's also left-handed. So which we have plenty of. Um, so I was really hoping that the Red Sox were gonna win the series just for Red Sox Nation. I think she would have. It would have been great for someone in our Discord to have a team there. Freaking Reds, bro! Like that was like I watched it. I'm like, literally, the game was over in the first inning in Game One. If the Reds had any sort of help, like just any sort of offense, they probably take game one because there's no way the Dodgers are repeating this year because that bullpen is so bad. That bullpen is probably worse than ours. And what makes it worse is they have good guys in their bullpen. And I think that like ours was bad because we had a bunch of nobodies, a bunch of dumpster diving guys that are way past being able to play. So my predictions are Seattle, because another team that technically I could root for, because I was born in Seattle. I lived there until I was about 4 or 5. Also, we know it's Gino, so you can always root for Gino there. Um, I go back and forth between Yankees and Blue Jays, but I'm probably gonna go Blue Jays just for the fact that they did play better against the Yankees this year. Um, it's really hard in that Cubs and Brewers. It's really hard for me to pick the Brewers to win a series when
When they
they
haven't
haven't
done
won a playoff series since 2018. It's very difficult to go out on that limb. And
It is
being
a different
off,
manager though.
he didn't. Well, he lost in 23. He lost in 24. No, wait, sorry, he
No,
lost
that
in
was Brett
24.
Murphy. Yeah.
Yeah, he lost in 24. But still, like, it's really hard for me to pick when they haven't won that series. But I think they'll really want to prove people wrong, that like, because there's probably a lot of the general public is doubting them. And then I think the Phillies just destroy the Dodgers. I think Kyle Schwarber is gonna hit some freaking nukes,
Dude, let me see Kyle
and
Schwarber just
that
send.
playoff atmosphere at the bank is truly something else. Like it literally is a 10th player.
Over under how many reports? Over under 9.5 reports of racial slurs being thrown at Otani before game one.
I mean, you have Dodger Muse throwing racial slurs out there, so I can imagine
Dude, that was insane.
what the Phillies fans are going to say. So
Yeah, I can't believe Josh went with this
Yeah,
as the thumb.
Josh did indeed cook with our thumbnail.
Yeah,
Um,
that
I
was.
just want to mention real quick. We're talking about Reyes. I know he has his issues, but he has a 292 batting average. Can you imagine the top of the lineup: Perdomo, Arias, Cattell, and Corbin for next season?
Problem is, he's awful defensively. He
yeah,
is so bad.
I mean, it's not like Pavin is all that
He
much better or
refuses
Salah.
to toss the ball to a pitcher. He will sprint when he really shouldn't, because he cannot toss that ball to the pitcher.
is he the John Lester of first baseman? Does he just have the
Yes.
yips?
Yeah,
He can't.
it's bad. Like, I don't like. I go back. I'm like, would I rather have Pavin and Tawa, or we like? I get Luis like has no pop. Like he literally has no pop. But like
I mean,
he,
Tim Towell, Locklear, and Pavin have all combined for like still a negative WAR, and at least Reyes is like over was 1.3. So
And we don't have to see him
1.3,
face against Brandon Pfaadt anymore because he fucking
yeah.
owns him.
That's the thing. Is like with someone with Reyes, like he is kind of a weird guy to have at one. I feel like he should be the number 3 hitter just because of how much contact he makes. And I think with a team like the Diamondbacks, like with the amount of speed that they have on the bases, with Perdomo being able to steal close to 30 bases, with Corbin being able to steal 30 bases, why not have him with 3 and then Cattell at 4? We don't have a number 4 right now. The number 4 that we had was Gabby, which he was great, but can you imagine that? Like it would be Perdomo,
Just
Corbin,
strengthens the rest of the lineup.
Arias, Cattell, Gabby. That's the top 5, and then everyone else just kind of slots into play. So then
we'll
you lengthen the
see
lineup.
what Hazen does.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But I guess for my personal predictions for the DSs, I don't know if my boy Shrimpy is listening. I will say I do think the Yankees come out of the American League Division Series. I think that the momentum coming off a big, being down 1-0 against the Red Sox, 2 big back-to-back wins. I do think the momentum and the day off can affect certain teams. And I know, like Gabe said, the Blue Jays do play the Yankees better this year. I think the Yankees, especially if they get that kind of performance from Schlittler and Rodon, who's been really, really solid this year.
Fried pitched well in
pitched
game
really
1.
well.
He just
Like,
got
he just got, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the Yankees are looking pretty good. And like I'll go for them for, I think they're looking pretty good. My boy or Jason is a big Yankee fan, so I want to root for his team if I can, because he'd be doing the same for the D-backs. And then also I'm a little bit financially invested in Aaron Judge in a baseball card, so I'd like them to at least
slightly.
win until I can
Slightly.
Just slightly, just slightly. So I'd like to see them win, so I can at least make my money off of my Aaron Judge card. Um, but other than that, I think that's gonna be the Yankees. I think in the other series, I'm definitely rooting for the Mariners. I know, like Gabe said, both those offenses don't really score any runs, but I think I think the Tigers are just a little bit weaker. Like outside of Tarek Skubal, their pitching isn't I don't think as strong as what the Mariners offer. Obviously, Brian Wu is a stud. Luis Castillo, there's a reason why, he's getting paid. I'd say potential ace money. Their bullpen is disgusting. Their lineup is probably one of the best we've seen from the Mariners in a long, long time. Like I think everybody in their lineup is an over 800 OPS or around there.
I mean, you have Cal Raleigh, you have Gino, you have
You
Nailers,
mean
and
the AL MVP, Cal Raleigh?
I hope so. I think it's going to Judge because Judge is just
better
every other. I mean, I think just the better other
overall
I think
player,
the Mariners make the
MVP.
playoffs as a wild card team without Cal Raleigh. I don't think the Yankees
I
make the
don't.
playoffs without Judge.
I don't think Seattle even sniffs the playoffs without
That's fair. I
Raleigh.
mean, like I want Cal Raleigh to win. Don't get me wrong. I would love Cal Raleigh. I think he deserves. I mean, literally the best offensive season we've ever seen from any catcher in history. 60 plus bombs as a switch hitter. Actually playing. It's not like he only played catcher like 30 games as a DH. He played like I think over 130, 140 games as a catcher.
It
Um,
was actually 120.
120. Okay, so I knew it
Which
was
is
around.
still quite a
Still,
bit.
still a lot though, and like again, doing that offensive. So I enjoy to see Cal do that. But I personally think the Mariners are going to come out of there. I think this might be the year that they go all the way. I would love it. So I have the Mariners and Yankees in the ALCS, and then in the NLCS, I want the Phillies, but because it seems like anybody. I mean, looking back at our divisional predictions on who we all thought were going to win the divisions, I think I picked like the Cubs. I think I picked the Tigers to win that division. At our All Star break guesses, I'm gonna say that I'm the jinx. So at least in the National League, I'm gonna go with the Dodgers and I'm gonna go with the Brewers. I think it's gonna be the Dodgers and Brewers. We get a rematch, I believe, of that 2018 NLCS when Yasiel Puig was still on the team. So I think it's gonna be Dodgers, Brewers, Yankees, and Mariners, and then probably gonna fucking see another Dodgers Yankees World Series, and we get Hitler Stalin 2.0, and everyone loses except for the big baseball market, but. I don't know. It does suck, but playoff baseball is still so fun. Like I know Brandon said he's not gonna in our before the show. He was saying he's not watching it, which is very very fair. Like if I'm busy and I'm not
I
doing
also
anything, or if
have a
I'm busy,
part-time job, so that's
yeah. So
probably
like
why.
if I'm busy and like I can't watch it, I'll do it. Like I won't watch it, but there's a
Yeah,
good chance that I'm gonna have my phone propped up when I'm working, just have the game on in the background.
yeah. I'm gonna be traveling next week, hopefully. So, yeah, I'm probably not gonna be watching a whole ton. I mean, maybe I might just listen to the radio sort of thing, but yeah, I mean, it's just no one I truly care about. Like I said, maybe Seattle goes there, I probably will be paying attention, but for the most part, it is one of those things where I don't really like anyone. I mean, like I said, Seattle is one of the teams that I like, but if it was a team like Oakland or something, if Oakland had made it despite everything, then I think it would be paying slightly more attention to this. But at the end of the day, I just like more baseball. The more baseball I can get, the better, because the offseason feels so freaking long. And with the way the Cardinals are just collapsing in front of our eyes, and we don't know what's going to happen with the Suns. We already have like two guys injured
Plus you got the
before the season
Mercury.
starts. Yeah, we have the Mercury. Hopefully, they're able to do something, give us a parade, show the boys what they can do compared to everyone else.
Yeah, so it's definitely not looking too bright here, and especially even again, I know I'm wearing my Packers gear. It's not been the best last 2 weeks for I would say either of our teams here. Um, but
I'm
it's
actually
just
going on Sunday to the Cards game. It cost me $40 for the ticket and the parking pass.
disgusting. I said it
Yeah,
before.
like yours was like 4 times that price.
I for one ticket, try I think like 12. I think it was like $500 a ticket. I am literally like seventh row from the end zone, so like.
Yeah,
And again, it's
so
gonna be the
you're
probably
gonna
maybe the
miss.
only game that I get to go to with my dad and my grandpa, because
Yeah,
that's the one downside to being a fan of a team that's outside of the state and that's not in the division. Because it's not like with baseball now where every team comes here, or at least you see every team.
I
Where
think
in
it's every
football, like
four.
every
Uh,
I think it also depends on where you finish. Like the Packers and Cardinals
correct.
finished in the same spot in the division last year. I think third, so we got the same schedule. So like I think
yeah,
if you finish third, you face the third place team in the division for every other division. So I think that's why. So
yeah. I mean, honestly, when it comes to me with football, like I've gone to maybe a couple games. I don't like it in person. I really don't like football in person. I need
this
the
is the first
commentators.
time I've
I need
gone
the
for
lines.
years.
I need everything. Like I need the actual TV. Like I really don't like football in person. Basketball is nice in person, but still, I think the best thing to attend is baseball. And I re-upped my season ticket, so please do something, Dbacks.
Yeah, give us some exciting news. Kick off the offseason. Once we have a free agency underway, surprise us. You know, like even Gabe said earlier, might not be in the $200+ million range in money, but at least don't go out there and be like, all right, I have $20. I have $20. Who can I? Woodford, are you okay with coming back here for $20 bills every pitch you throw? Is that okay? Because I will not be too happy if we basically do nothing and we punt on the off season just like we punted on the regular season here. But any other final thoughts before we get on here? Any other maybe D-backs or other things you guys want to touch on one more time before we say goodbye to the people until next week?
Hopefully we get some more news about the non-tendered. I believe Brandon, you looked it up. It was in November this year, right?
Yep.
The non-tender, and then hopefully the winter meetings can produce something good for this team.
Yeah, definitely. Just give us some exciting offseason news because it's going to be a long offseason. But if you guys want to make the offseason a little bit shorter, make sure you guys, obviously, if you have not already joined the Discord, join the Discord, especially because we're going to try to get you guys more involved in these offseason shows, get you guys, get back to some more, viewer questions, a little bit of mailbags and stuff like that, get you guys more involved. I think we're going to be doing some like a poll episode soon where like in the Discord, we're going to put up a poll like, who's your D-backs MVP? This person, like person A, B, C, or D, options, the fifth option for somebody we didn't list in there. So, like, obviously, getting more of input from you guys. So that's where you want to be. The Discord, which is in the pinned tweet on our Twitter or in the description for everything, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, whatever it is. So join the Discord, be a part of the off-season discussions, and join the community in the off-season while we all hopefully can, flush it and turn the page to 2026 when the time comes. Make sure you guys, like I said, obviously follow us on all socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I think we have a Blue Sky. I don't know if we've ever posted anything on there in months because I don't even have a Blue Sky. But if you do, follow us on there. Follow us on there. Maybe we can get our man Josh to up it up and go back on there. But either way, follow us on all socials. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube part because it does help out the algorithm. Like genuinely, you like and comment on one thing. Next thing you know, your YouTube thing is going to be flooded with related content to that thing, and you can find other great content and all that that's related to the D-backs specifically. So make sure you guys do that, and then also check out all the great articles over on azsnakepit.com. Our man Josh does written recaps on the podcast. If you guys want a little more dispatch in your life, especially from our man Josh, who does a great job. He's got a couple articles I believe featured on Yahoo here and there, so he puts out some bangers left and right. All Josh does is just cook. All Josh does cook. He's Gordon Ramsay when it comes to anything that he touches here with D-backs related content. So make sure you guys go over to azsnakepit.com for more articles of him and then just all the other great staff that's over on the pit. And in the meantime, again, I think we're doing this around once per week. Trying to do this at least once per week. Trying to get in a set day, but at least once per week. Maybe we'll do some like special episodes here and there. Maybe some emergency pods if we get some nudes or some news and all that. Obviously, no, we don't want that. If we get any news throughout the off season, sorry, we're not Brett Favre. We're not getting any of those throughout the off season. But if we do get any news, like last year, Corbin Burns signing, I woke up and I think we did an emergency pod like a few hours later. So things like that, we'll definitely be doing some emergency pods. But look out for at least one episode per week, and we'll try to get you guys more involved. So again, join the Discord, follow us on our socials, go to snakepit.com. But in the meantime, you guys all have a fantastic rest of your Friday night. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning on in here after some Thursday night football to hang out with us and discuss some D-backs and other baseball-related news. We will catch you guys on the Flippy Flop in the next episode. Take it easy, my friends.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Tears are a heap, but we own this town. Brennan, Gabe on the call, with Josh in the back, bringing it on.